Well, this is really unfortunate. It means our country is a nation where the leaders have refused to learn from the mistakes or missteps we have taken in the past. For many months and years now, some of us have been consistent about the need to decentralize our security architecture. And so long as we're not doing that, we're going to get this kind of result. It pains me that innocent people who have voted us into power to protect them and their properties, losing their lives and those properties because of refused to take the correct steps. The sad news is that not only that some people have died, but more will also die unless we do the correct thing. Because there's no way we can have a federation such as Nigeria, as big as it is, with all the diversities, and they continue to do a centralized policing and expect it to work. So that is the major problem. So it's also sad that this is happening, and my heart grieves for those who lost their dear ones. But as I said, the tragedy is that this is not going to be the last. More will die. Because we refuse to do the correct thing. So I want to call on the federal government, the leaders of this country, for us to, for once, decide, to protect the lives and properties of those that we are leading, because that's the primary purpose of government. And the only way to do that is for all of us to sit back and agree within a space of 2 or 3 months to amend our constitution to enable the component units of this country to have their own security architecture.
Welcome back to Sunrise Daily, coming to you live from our Abuja studio. Standing by with me this morning is Mr. Bagos, who is a member of the Plateau State Youth Forum for Peace and Progress. You were showing us a graphic of statistics concerning these killings. Go ahead and show our viewers.
You see, the statistics here so far, if you look at all the killings that has happened on the Plateau, you see 78% of such killings were done by using guns. 7% machete. And if you see the mode of attacks, 75% of those modes of attacks were guerrilla attacks, 15% ambush. And unfortunately, apart from only 3% of all the attacks have been repelled. 97% of such attacks have never been repelled. 2% of the attacks, only you have 2% of arrests made, and 98% of such attacks, no arrests have been made up to date.
Well, this is a very important point, because a lot of people have looked at the situation and they have questioned whether or not the federal government has treated this issue with an even hand in relation to some of the other security challenges that we face in the country. I want to ask you very directly, in your view, do you think the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has tackled this issue, particularly the herders' clashes, with with the same kind of the level of severity and response that is tackled situations like Boko Haram, situations like IPOB, for example?
No, not at all. We on the Plateau, we know that we are so helpless. Our situation has not been tackled the way the Northeast issues is being tackled. For instance, in the Northeast, you have people being, the military going in to repel Boko Haram, take over the community and give the community back to inhabitants. But our own case, we have villages in places like Riom and Berkinladi that has been wiped out. That as it is now, over 40 villages, none of the indigenes are there. And we expect government to come in, take over this land and give it back to the inhabitants, give the land back to the inhabitants, reintegrate the people back into the land, build their houses back there, just like they're doing in the Northeast. We have not yet had any intervention. We have not yet had any concrete Marshall Plan to be able to capture back those places that have been taken over by headsmen in so many years. I can assure, where in a place, Rakum, where the former senator died, up to date, nobody, where he died, The death he went to bury, people were killed and chased from that community. Up till date, nobody could access that very community.
Well, what is your response to the most recent development? Obviously, in view of the massacre that took place, we've heard now that the military has sent another battalion of forces into the plateau.
For how long?
I'm coming. And also combat helicopters, intelligence and reconnaissance aircraft. In your mind, is that not something that could ease the problem?
With all this, if tomorrow they will just say because of the helicopters, because of the military intervention and so on and so forth, we have been able to capture and arrest 1,000 headsmen that have, we will have confidence. But these are just theoretical issues. It happens every day, and all we all usually hear is we have deployed this, we have deployed that, we have done such, and this. Nothing happens at the end of the day. The people are helpless, but then the people that had the attack have achieved by claiming your own land. Number one, you cannot go back to that very land. As I'm talking to you, people are still trapped in 1 or 2 places. Yesterday, even as the vice president was in Plateau State, over 20 people were killed in Dorowa.
In your view, this is where we get into a bit of a tricky kind of terrain, because on the one hand, you have these accounts that these individuals are coming across the border. On the other hand, it sounds as if even local chapters of Miyetti Allah have some level of insight into the thinking of those who are conducting these massacres. Do you believe that the security agencies have done enough to query or question or contain the leaders of Miyetti Allah on this issue?
Not at all. If Miyetti Allah will be bold enough and say that the attack is as a result of the 300 cows that were wrestled, have the DSS invited the Miyetti Allah people? Have the police invited the Miyetti Allah people? Because professionally, that is a link to investigation. But we have not had if it's not invitation, talk less of any arrest. But if someone would tell you that we kill, or the reason why 300, 200 people were killed is as a result of because of this and that, invite such a person for interrogation. We have not had such. People that have been killed